Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for my presentation in multiculturalism in entertainment. As you all might know, I am both an entertainer and an educator. And today I'm going to show you how those two worlds cross. So let's get started. I'm sure you're already asking, what exactly is multiculturalism and how does it apply to entertainment? Well, multiculturalism is the coexistence of diverse cultures, ethnic groups, and religion within a society. The education of multiculturalism can affect the direction of our future creators and storytellers, as well as the content they produce. Creating awareness of the realities of multiculturalism can help creators, entertainers, and viral visionaries more accurately depict the world in which we exist. So knowledge of cultural past history can be used in content to educate, create, and help inspire change in the future. So let's talk about the effects of multimedia on popular opinion, because I bet you didn't know that some of the things you watch actually affect the way you think. So entertainment media tells us how to see each other, but what do we actually see for ourselves? So first, let's talk about the different forms of entertainment communication so you know where I'm coming from. There's journalism, film and television, music, books, video games. And as we see, film and television and video games have already crossed over into the virtual reality world. So here's some examples of the most noticeable differences in these media platforms. So when it comes to news outlets, sometimes news outlets will spend more time highlighting non-minority deaths rather than highlighting a death of a person of color. And so we'll see the non-minority report come up various times throughout the day, and then maybe the minority death just gets touched upon once or twice, right? Very briefly. But on the contrary, when it comes to a crime committed by a person of color, that story is run multiple times a day. And this in turn results in a very negative connotation and bias being created. And so when you're viewing this as an audience member, you have no idea that subconsciously you are already creating a negative connotation of a specific ethnic group because of the actions of one person, right? Or a couple of people. So in the past, in history, the points of view have been this: a white actor depicting an African-American actor by putting on a black face, right? Or an Asian actor using a yellow face. And these racist caricatures tend to linger stereotypes. And so they leave stereotypes kind of floating around and in our heads, and it's not really eliminating or crushing that boundary for us. So racial stereotypes, even now, are often seen as comical and gesture-like. When you watch your favorite TV shows or your favorite sitcom, sometimes they'll have that token black guy who cracks all the jokes, And it's fine and dandy. We enjoy the jokes, but is this slightly stereotypical? Is this slightly racially biased? And so when speaking about these supporting characters, we do mostly see minority characters in supporting role positions more often than not. Now, as we're going and progressing into the future of entertainment, we are starting to see more stories being told by minorities in which they cast minorities as lead roles. And this is something that we're kind of late to the party on, and it's about time, right? So let's talk about accessibility and visibility. How accessible is it for you to actually see ethnically specific content, right? And how visible is it? Well, most ethnically specific content is viewable only at an additional cost. So you got to come out of pocket. And that means with cable television, you have to pay extra for that. With special packages like ordering your Telemundo or your BET or your Urban Movie Channel, it all costs money out of pocket. But more recently, we've seen that some content has become available on mainstream and by local access television, such as your networks like ABC. ABC, I believe, does a great job of being making an effort to be inclusive. various shows such as Blackish, Mixish, Fresh Off the Boat. Those are very groundbreaking shows for your local television stations. And I think that it's great that they're making an effort to be culturally diverse. So it only gets better from here. So let's talk about creating the change. How do we change it? Well, educating using race and storytelling creates these results. More empathetic members of society. So even if you have not lived through that particular story or have not had that particular experience, you are able to view that culturally specific content and find some type of relation to it, find some type of connection to it, making you a more empathetic member of society. There's also the realization that our plights and struggles are equally as traumatic, but also equally as empowering. So, a lot of times with minority groups, I see them going head to head about, well, whose plight or whose struggle was more traumatic or whose was worse. And at the end of the day, minority groups have all suffered through something. And so it's very important for us to see the content that's being created, be empathetic about it, digest it, and realize that we are all struggling and going through the same things, but making a 180 and creating an empowerment movement from them. So now when we're talking about creating for the future, the face of change is multi-ethnic. I just got to admit it. And at some point, we will all be one. So there won't be any more pointing the finger at one another. According to Pew Research Center, the multiracial population will triple by 2060. So in the next 40 years, if you think we're going at a fast rate now, there's going to be more mixed babies out there by 2060. So let's talk about my specific learning environment in my classroom. Well, our final project is going to be to produce and publish a multicultural conscious project with the following parameters: encouraging students to create character choices that are not defined by their skin color, and creating opportunities for all. So most times in casting, they give you a certain height, a certain look that they want you to have, and there's all these specs that you have to kind of fill in order to even get into the room. And a lot of times in Hollywood, they'll even tell you, hey, it's not about your talent, it's about if you got the look or not. Well, the look can maybe get you through the door, but it can't keep you there. And so I think it's very imperative that I encourage my students to create character choices that are outside of being defined by skin color, that are talent based, and that provide opportunities to every actor or creator, no matter their gender, type, skin color, or ethnicity. So we're all familiar with the classic American story, right? But is this even accurate anymore? Even the classic American family, is that even accurate anymore? So I want to help students find ways to tell a unique perspective of different stories, not limited to just black and white. I know within my own family, when we come together and we have like a family get together, we literally look like the United Nations. I mean, we have Asian, we have Black, we have white, we have Hispanic, and it's a beautiful reflection of the way I see the world. And it would be so nice to see those types of families and those types of dynamics represented in our entertainment culture. Last but not least, and I think this is my most important and favorite aspect about this project, is I want to encourage students to trace their roots. A lot of times we speak on things and have reflections of our opinions that were kind of placed upon us by parents, and we really don't know where we come from. You know, we hear stories through family members and through our community. But until we actually take the step to trace our genetics, to maybe do a DNA kit, or hire a historian to do some research for you and look through the census at other ancestry and family members. So it takes making and creating the opportunity to open your horizons and see that, hey, maybe I'm not what I think I am. This is just a baby step towards eliminating racial bias in the act of Passing is identifying or being identified as what you appear to be or something you may not even be, or only claiming one part of yourself. And I know for me, as a mixed kid coming up, I just would always choose other. When they said only pick one, I would pick other because I didn't want to pick my dad's side over my mom's side. And both of their sides made up who I was. So, American Psychology Association says multiracial children are also often subject to institutional discrimination from the government, private and public organizations. Many schools do not permit multiracial students to choose more than one race on demographic forms. This lack of control and being able to properly self identify has been shown to affect one's mental health. And it's completely true. When mixed kids are not able to pinpoint their identity or they feel torn between one side or the other, it really does take effect on your psyche. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this presentation today. And I hope that just making you more aware of multiculturalism will affect the content that you create in the future. And I'm so excited to be able to see it. So happy creating.